Regina Perlmutter, a licensed clinical social worker. She has a master's degree in social work from Rutgers, been in practice over 35 years. She is also, get this, a hypnotherapist, psychic, medical intuitive, animal communicator, feng shui master, Reiki master, shaman, and healer. She studied with masters all over the world, conducted over 1,000 past life regressions. Now, what's very interesting to me, as the daughter, she's the daughter of 2 Holocaust survivors, and so has been drawn to work with trauma survivors. And this is the technique that she's going to share with us this morning. So that's the introduction.
Very, very good.
Thank you for that introduction. And thank you for having me. It is a great honor to be here with you lovely people. I have so much respect for this group and what you guys have been doing all these years, and you're still together. How many years has it been?
35 or more, I think.
Wow.
Tim knows you were there at the founding.
Yeah, well, it started with the Inside Edge. That was a good 35, 40 years ago. And then, and we've been going probably 25, I would guess, so.
Anyways, thanks for having me. And my talk is going to happen in 2 different segments. Today is part 1. Next week will be part 2. And I'm going to be introducing the modality known as quantum field healing mastery, which I'm so excited about. I have spent my entire adult life traveling all over the world, studying with teachers, masters, shamans, gurus, healers, honing my craft as a healer, which is my great, great passion and mission. And this is, I feel, the most state-of-the-art, effective technology that I'm aware of today in terms of treating trauma. Now, trauma is a big buzzword these days because the mental health profession has been realizing how much trauma we're all walking around with, and the after effects, the post-traumatic stress syndrome, the fear, the anxiety, the grief, the victim consciousness that trauma brings to us. And so there's a bunch of techniques out there. There's EFT, there is EMDR. I have studied those and I've not been happy with the results. And I feel that those other techniques out there are the days of the dinosaurs compared to this technique. And why do I say that? I have seen absolutely miraculous results with this technique that even though I've been doing it for years, I continue to be astonished at the efficacy, the efficiency, and the power of this technique. So to give you an example, I recently had a client whose father began to have sex with her at age 6, and it went on into her adolescence. And on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most severe, as you can imagine, she was way up there at 10 plus, plus, plus. And I know this is going to sound almost hard to believe, but in a half an hour, she went from a 10 plus plus to 0 in terms of grief, rage, outrage, victimization, despair, shock, everything that goes along with trauma. At the end of half an hour, she was at peace. She had no longer any anger. She went home. I didn't even think she was ready for this. I didn't even suggest it. But she called her father and told him she forgave him. He was drunk at the time when she made that call, but that was okay with her also. So another example was, I have another client from Montreal who's a flight attendant who was raped in 3 different countries. And it's common, rape is common in foreign countries because when you're in a foreign country, you don't know what the body language is like, or you're not familiar with the terrain or the customs. And so it happened to her 3 times. And she was also, of course, quite upset about those 3 incidents and was at a 10 with each one of them. And she also, in 3 half-hour sessions, released the trauma of all 3. And clients describe to me, and I've done it myself many times, this technique on myself. What you do when it's gone is you experience an opening up of a space inside of you that used to be preoccupied with where that trauma was stored inside your body, mind, spirit. There's like an opening up of space which allows more light to come in, because your body is no longer preoccupied trying to hold on to that pain and that grief and that hurt. So I'm very, very excited to share this technique with you guys. And the way it works is we clear all the beliefs, the negative beliefs that keep that trauma in place. So has everyone heard, is everyone familiar with what quantum field means? Do I need to explain it? Okay, quantum field is the new term that physicists are calling God. It is the field where all things that have ever existed and will exist in the future intersect. So that's a fancy scientific way of saying God these days. So the way it works is the client comes and presents an issue, like let's say money, or self-esteem, or patterns, repeating painful patterns. The practitioner goes into an altered state, connects to the quantum field, and the quantum field will show me the beliefs that have manifested that issue, that pattern, that phobia, that trauma, whatever it is that's going on. And the practitioner then asks God or the quantum field to lift and remove these negative beliefs. How do we know if the belief is there? We do muscle testing. How do we know after it's gone? We do muscle testing. So that's why I'm when I was planning to do this, Mary Grace and I decided we need 2 sessions. One, to make sure everybody has some at least beginner muscle testing skills. And the second episode, which will be next week, we're going to actually do the trauma clearing. But if we have some time today after the muscle testing, I would love to just get started. Could someone tell me how much time we have? Do I have an hour? Do we go until 9 o'clock?
You have till about 8:50.
8:50. Okay. So if we have time today, we'll get right started. So could I see a show of hands? Who here has muscle testing skills? And who is familiar with muscle testing? Probably many of you have had it done by a chiropractor or a healer or a nutritionist. Could I see a show of hands who does not have any exposure or experience with muscle testing? Okay, so it is my intention to help everyone here on this call today develop some muscle testing skills. So in order to do this, first thing is we ask everyone to be very hydrated. And so I asked Mary Grace to put that in the invitation, have some liquid available. And I'm gonna keep sipping myself. The reason for that is muscle testing depends on synapses of nerves and meridians. I can't really explain it in scientific terms, but it has to do basically with we're accessing the infinite wisdom of your soul, which knows everything because it is a spark of the divine. We're accessing that wisdom using your body as your vehicle. Another way of doing it is with a pendulum. Who has their pendulum with you at this time? Who has pendulum skills? Okay, so pendulum is another way of muscle testing. The scientific word for the science of muscle testing is kinesiology. And it is being increasingly embraced by alternative health practitioners. There are dentists who are using it, chiropractors, nutritionists, naturopaths. It is increasingly gaining trust within the healing community. And it is a wonderful, wonderful technique to have when making big decisions in your life, little decisions, when you're picking a supplement at Whole Foods, when you're wondering whether this food agrees with you or not, when you want to know whether you should do this event or that event, or big decisions, little decisions. It's really a wonderful, wonderful aid in your life. So I invite everyone to take in some gulps of whatever liquid of your choice. And those of you who already have muscle testing skills, just consider this a refresher. And because it's important to be able to trust your muscle testing skills. So I invite everyone now to stand up. This is a very simple technique. And then we're going to go into more complex techniques. But this is the simple one that is a good beginner technique. So I invite everyone to stand up at this time and face north and have a couple of swigs of your liquid. And the most important thing about muscle testing is just trust, trust, surrender and trust. And make your body relaxed, your feet at shoulder distance and facing north. But if you cannot face north, any direction will do. It's just that north is the optimal direction. And now make your knees kind of loose and relaxed. Make your body relaxed like a pendulum. Imagine your body's a pendulum. And I'm going to ask everyone, show me a yes. And yes is forward and no is backward. So let's begin with asking everyone to show me a yes. And I'm now going to go into the quantum field and ask that God teach everyone how to muscle test and how to come up with a yes. And it happens very easily, effortlessly. It's important to keep a neutral mind. Don't be attached to the outcome. Just keep your mind very, very calm and neutral and trust. It's very easy technique to learn. Millions of people have learned it all over the world. And show me by raising your arm if you're getting a yes. Anybody not getting a yes? Please show me an arm or your hand if you're not getting a yes. Okay, so the main thing to do is just trust, breathe, relax, and just let it happen. It just happens all by itself. It's very simple, it's very easy. Just trust. And the body should be tipping forward slightly, all by itself. Great. Now, let's see a no. A no is tipping backward slightly. And again, just let it happen all by itself. And please raise your hand if you're getting a no, so I can see what's going on. Anybody not getting anything? Carolyn, you're not getting it? I can't hear you. You're going back and forth?
I've got the yes going forward and back. Now, the no is supposed to now go the sideways,
Gently
right?
tip, no, but generally a no is tipping backward. In some instances, people may get some kind of other response. Whatever you get is fine.
Seems like it's the same movement, forward and backwards for both of them.
Oh, you're getting the same thing? Okay, so just with intention, ask your body to show you a clear yes, which is usually in most cases tipping forward. And now return to your original position and ask for a clear no. Again, I'm asking the quantum field to teach everyone clear, reliable muscle testing now.
So it always goes forward and backward. It never goes sideways.
Do you want it to go sideways?
Well, I thought sideways would be a clearer no. for
Okay,
me.
well, that could be your no. You can make that your no if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Regina, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Are you doing this just with your body, or are you holding your pendulum and having the pendulum move?
Good question. Okay, the pendulum is a whole different way of attaining a yes or no.
So it's only your body should be kind of gravitating.
Your body is now a pendulum. The pendulum method is yet another technique.
Okay, got it.
Okay, right now, put your pendulum down. We're starting with the body. Imagine your body is a pendulum. So again, show me a yes. And you may want to close your eyes and just trust in the infinite wisdom of your higher self. And you don't have to do anything. It happens all by itself. And it should be tipping forward. And now show me a no, and it should be tipping backward, except in Carolyn's case, her body wants to maybe do sideways, which is fine. As long as you're getting a clear yes or no, it doesn't matter how your body wants to show you a yes or no, as long as you're getting a good result. And now silently state your name. My name is, and ask your body to give you an indication of yes. Easily, effortlessly, you're getting a yes, a clear yes. And now ask for a clear no. Easily and effortlessly getting a no. Okay, does anybody need help with this? Please raise your hand or let us know if anyone is having some resistance showing up. Is everybody getting it? Can
Why
you
would the
show me?
body say no if we say our real name?
What did you say?
If we say our real name and we just said yes, why would the body say no?
Did your body just say no?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you're getting, maybe you're one of the rare cases where going backwards is a yes and forwards is a no. Check and see. Show me a yes. Show me a no. Show me a clear yes. Show me a clear no. I think you're getting it, Carolyn. Are you getting it?
Thank you.
Yay. Okay.
Regina, I'm a little bit
Yes.
confused. Aren't we supposed to, if I say my name, I feel a yes, but to get a no, I said, I made a statement to myself, I'm a pilot. And so my body had the no to it. And then I associated the no with some statement that was an accurate no. I think Caroline was asking, can she say no if she says her name? Will she connect to a no? Or do we need to connect to something that is accurately, something that is not true about us?
Okay, so good point. Everybody make a false statement
That's it.
right now. If you're a woman, say let's just say I'm a woman.
Exactly.
So everybody say I am a woman. Are you getting a yes or a no? And I am a man. Again, the key here is to trust and let it happen all by itself. It's like magic. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to influence it. You don't have to make it happen. Your body is now a pendulum. And God is showing you a yes or a no. Your higher self is showing you a yes or a no. Please raise your hand if you're running into some resistance so I know what's going on. Does everybody here now have reliable muscle testing skills? Please raise your hand. Yay. Okay. So do you want to do pendulum work today? Okay. Do you want to refresh your pendulum skills? Is that a yes? Am I getting a yes? Okay. So everybody hold up your pendulum. Remember to always hydrate when doing muscle testing. Hold up your pendulum, and same thing goes for the pendulum. Let it happen all by itself. Now, when I work with a pendulum, I like to brace my elbow next to the side of my body. Paul and Bonnie, I encourage you to brace your elbow. Unless you're experienced pendulum users, then I don't have to tell you. But I like to brace my arm at the side of my body only to minimize my conscious mind interfering. So I like to brace myself and keep my arm as still as possible. Because a skeptic could say, oh, well, I saw your arm moving. Well, yes, your higher self is sending tiny, tiny little signals through your entire body, through the meridians and the energy systems of your body, and is transmitting it into your pendulum. But because I am originally a skeptic, like to minimize my conscious interference by bracing my arm next to my body and holding the pendulum like this. And now everyone ask your pendulum, show me a yes. Most people get a circle going right. Some people don't. They get either a left, right, or a forward and backward. Whatever you're getting is just fine. Ask for a clear yes. And again, I'm connecting to the quantum field, and I'm asking that everybody here be given clear yes signals. And again, just trust and breathe and relax. This is very simple. It's very easy. Is everybody getting a yes from their pendulum? Excellent. Now ask it to show you a no, a clear no. Okay, some people get a maybe. Ask it to show you a maybe. In most cases, that's, in my case, it's a yes is a big circle to the right, a no is a circle to the left, and a maybe is back and forth like this. That's in my case. You may get something else. Whatever works is just fine for you. Is everybody happy with their results? Are you getting results? Okay. Now ask a question silently that you don't consciously know the answer to. Should I do such and such? Is such and such a food good for me? Do I need to cut out gluten? Do I need to eliminate dairy from my diet? Whatever you need to know. And you may even close your eyes and open and see what your pendulum is doing. And is everybody getting results? Please raise your hand if you are happy with your results, if you feel you can trust your results. Please raise your hand if you feel you cannot trust your results. Is everybody is happy with their results? Yes? Wonderful. Okay. Those of you who are still in progress, just keep playing with it, and your chances are very high you'll get it. Okay, so if everyone has muscle testing skills, we can get started right now with quantum field healing. Does anybody have any questions or need any additional support or help with this process? Let me know. Okay, so I mentioned that we're going to go into the trauma clearing next week, but since we still have some time, I would love to get started and show you how this process, this technique works. And in this technology, we focus, one of the things we focus on is our issues about money, because that's a popular subject. Is everyone interested in that subject? Okay, it's a popular subject. So one of the first things we do when clearing people's issues with money, because as we all know, a lot of us are not making money show up as much or as easily as we would prefer to. It's usually a popular subject. The first thing we do when addressing money is we ask, do I have any vows, contracts, agreements of poverty from a past life? So most of us who have reached this level of evolution have had various or numerous past lives as a monk, a priest, Tibetan monk, Christian monk, sadhu, various spiritual backgrounds. As a practitioner, often sequestered in some kind of monastery. And the first thing they do, guess what the first thing they do is they shave your hair often, they change your name, they change your identity, they ask you to leave your family, and they ask you to take a vow of poverty, which is a way of renouncing the world. And you get very clear that you're no longer interested in what the world has to offer. You're no longer interested in pursuing career, money, status, possessions. And you make it very clear that you are now interested in pursuing God and only God. So that is a vow that you take between you and God. And if you happen to pass on in that particular lifetime, guess what? Those vows continue to remain intact until we cancel and clear them. So you would be amazed at how many people still have those vows, contracts, agreements that you've made with God. Okay, this is not just an idle little vow, you know, you made it with God. So would you like to see if you still have such a vow contract agreement? Now, people who have such a vow contract agreement still intact, how does it show up in your life? It shows up that every time you feel you're getting ahead financially, something shows up, like your roof gets a hole, a leak, and before you know it, the roofer is showing up at your door asking you to pay them $15,000. Or your car breaks down and the mechanic is saying, we can't fix it, you have to get a new car. Or you make an investment that goes sour, or you get a business partner that cheats you, or sabotages your business, or you get fired, or fill in the blank. We've all had this stuff happen to us, this kind of stuff, right? Or you have to make your money go away. I know a person who 20 years ago was making 6 figures, which was quite generous then. And she never had any money. And nobody could understand. She never had any money. She didn't take any fancy trips. She didn't have any fancy jewelry. She didn't drive fancy cars, and she never had any money. And I would ask her, what happens to your money? And she would shrug and she would say, I don't know, it just goes away. So that's another thing people do with intact vows of poverty. They just make it go away and they don't even know where it goes. Sometimes they lend it to people, they give it to people, bad investments. Any discussion about this? Any questions about this? Vows of poverty.
Well, this is something that's very real for me, and I've always wondered about it because they would give me allowance and I would go spend it within an hour at the
There
toy
you go. As a child, as a
Right.
child,
As a
funny.
child. And I have pretty much managed through various situations to get rid of everything I've ever owned. So this is very real for me. I'm really curious about the origin of this.
Thank you for that sharing. So things go away like through fire or flood or, okay.
Real estate investments that went south in 2008. I mean, it's been continuous.
Okay. So let's now check and see whether you have a vow of poverty, shall we? So just ask your pendulum or do the standing technique, whatever works best for you. I have a vow of poverty. I have a vow contract agreement of poverty. And Diana, you probably have a yes, don't you? Did you have a yes?
A
You're
very
muted.
fast and firm yes.
Excellent. Everybody else, anybody else have a yes? They're very common, very, very common. Only 2 of you, 3, who else? 4,
Poverty,
anybody have a no?
the vow of poverty.
Gina, I'm curious. It's like, shouldn't that be stated as a question? I'm not hearing that right now. Do I have a vow of poverty or?
Good question, Levita. You can either ask the question, do I have it, or I have it. You make a statement and the pendulum says no or yes. So you can either way. Like,
Thank you.
like my name is Levita or is my name Levita, same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Regina, just a technical question. Is it
Sure.
best to start off by moving it or just keep it stationary and let it move?
Oh, absolutely start off with stationary.
So just for clarification, if the pendulum is moving back and forth, that's a maybe. If it's going in a circle, either right or left, that's
I
a
have
yes
a
and a
vow of
no.
poverty.
Okay, most
I have a
people,
vow of poverty.
when you begin your pendulum work, first of all, let me just say a word about pendulums. Most pendulums are involving a crystal. So if you have a pendulum involving a crystal, you want to clear that crystal. Anytime you purchase a crystal, you want to clear it. How do we clear crystals? Because that crystal may have been in someone's pocket, a miner somewhere in Brazil or whatever. It may have been touched by many people before you purchased it. You want a crystal that is clear. That's as far as pendulum work goes, or any crystal that you use for healing. How do we clear our crystal? You submerge it in salt for a couple of days. After it leaves the salt, you be sure you throw away that salt. You do not want to use that salt in your food. Then you place it in sunlight and moonlight just by simply placing it on a windowsill for a day or 2. Make sure it gets a cycle of sunlight and a cycle of moonlight. You then hold the crystal and you imagine yourself inside that crystal leading the life you wish to lead. Happy, healthy, abundant, the kind of home you wish to live in, having the kind of community or friends that you wish to have. You just use your imagination. So that's for starters. If you don't have a crystal, it's a good idea always to place it in salt anyways, because you have no idea who has touched that pendulum, handled it, possessed it perhaps before you. You want it to be uniquely yours. You may not want other people touching it.
Regina, I
yes?
think I may have given everybody some bad advice and I just had a piece of metal. That doesn't work.
No, that's fine too. You can make, if you don't want to spend money on a pendulum, good point, Bill. You can get any item like Bill showed us before, as long as it's symmetric. Any heavy object, as long as it's symmetric, attached to a string. Simple as that.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so show us your pendulum that you made yourself. Bill, hold it up. There you go. So anybody who does not, but you know what? It's not symmetric, Bill.
It's hexagonal.
Okay, but notice if you hold it up, it's leaning to one side. It's not completely symmetric. You want it symmetric.
I can fix that.
Okay, like Levita's holding up hers. See how symmetric that is? Pamela, let's see yours. Is that a teddy bear? Okay, that will work, but it's ideal to have a symmetric one. Okay, Doreen's iPad, that's an example of a symmetric, and Lisa, that's example of symmetric. And Patricia, that's a good example. You can use a necklace, a chain with a pendant. Okay, so for those of you who did not have a vow of poverty, it's extremely rare not to have a vow of poverty. Who did not have a vow of poverty? Pamela didn't, David didn't. Okay, and Eugenia did not, and Tim did not. Okay, So those of you who had a yes, I'm now going to demonstrate to you the power of quantum field healing mastery. I'm going to go into the quantum field and I'm going to ask everyone who has it still intact, if you wish, anytime in doing this work, if you don't want to clear it, you don't have to. If you want to keep, I once had someone in a group say, I want to keep my vow of poverty. Okay, that's you have free will. So if you don't want to clear it, you don't just with intention say, nope, I'm keeping it. Because this happens only with your consent, of course. So now I'm going to ask those of you who have it, who wish to clear it, I'm going to ask that the quantum field or true source, creator of all that is, clear all vows, oath, contracts, agreements from the past to take on this vow of poverty. And now those of you who had it, please check and see, I have a vow of poverty. It should be a no. Diana, is it clear?
No, it's not. And I think I blanked out when you gave the instructions. So do you mind just repeating what you said?
Yes. I have just cleared everyone's vows who wanted it cleared. Now check and see. I have a vow of poverty. The answer should be a no now. And sometimes it sticks around, and when something sticks around, we have to do some further digging because there's some kind of fear or some kind of resistance going on, and that's okay. We just dig and see what that resistance is about. Is it clear, Diana?
Yes, I gotta know.
Yay. Okay, anybody else? Everybody get a no? If you still have it, please raise your hand.
It doesn't move.
It was not moving before either. Did you do the standing technique?
Or do I have to stand up? Oh, hold on.
Do your standing technique. Okay, some people in rare cases have resistance to muscle testing. And often that has to do with fear of opening up your psychic abilities. And a lot of us, this is also very common among New Age people. A lot of us were burned at the stake at the time in history when that happened to people who were psychic, healers, midwives, herbalists, astrologers, numerologists. Please excuse my phone ringing, ignore it. A lot of us, you may be familiar with the time in history in Europe around the medieval ages when the Inquisition was launched. 14 million people, usually most of them women, were frequently burned at the stake or otherwise put to death because there was a very, very, very intense mania in the Catholic Church against those people. And most of them were women, and it involved 14 million people. And it went on for a couple of 100 years, and it even came to the US, which is what Salem, Massachusetts was all about. And in Santa Fe, they hung people in the town square, and it came to the New World. And so some of us were burned at the stake, and we have fear of opening up our psychic powers again, or we misused it. Two of the main reasons people are afraid of opening up their psychic powers, and getting your muscle testing is a beginning of opening up your psychic powers, okay? We're connecting with your higher self that knows everything. And so people who have fear about opening their psychic powers, may have resistance with muscle testing. In some cases, I had a client whose pendulum refused to budge even the tiniest bit. When we pursued that as to what's going on, why is there so much resistance? It turned out, we discovered through a past life regression, she had been a fortune teller. It is possible to have tremendous psychic powers, as you probably all know, and use them in an unethical fashion. And she had been a fortune teller that people would come to her and give her money, and she would place curses on people so that they would develop a horrible illness or die or get rid of a mistress or whatever. And in her case, she had a lot of unresolved unconscious guilt about having misused her psychic powers, and henceforth, therefore, all this resistance. So if you're having resistance, it means you need to do some work, some digging about where that's coming from. And it can be cleared. Okay, so Patricia, did you get a response through the standing technique?
Yes, and I asked the question, was it cleared? And he said yes.
Excellent. Okay, so now here's another, there's different forms of muscle testing. My favorite one is, this is a yes, this is a no. Yes, and what happens is you make a circle and you pull, and all by itself, it is firm with a yes, and this is a no, it just opens up. And you can play around with that between now and next week. And I'm going to ask the quantum field that everybody now learn their own technique that works for you. Another technique, this is yes. Your fingers stick together, this is a no. Yes, no. This can be very convenient if you are at work, let's say, you're at a meeting, you simply place your hand underneath the table. You don't have to pull out your pendulum, you don't have to do the standing technique. And let's say you want to know, should I make this contribution? Should I make this suggestion? Should I make this recommendation? And you simply place your hands under the table, nobody has to see anything, and you're getting your yes or a no. So I'm going to ask now that God show everyone how to do that easily and effortlessly, and that it's possible, and you're allowed to get your own technique that works for you easily and effortlessly. Now everyone try this technique. Show me a yes, show me a no. Yes, no. Are we done, by the way? Are we done at 8:50? Who's keeping time?
Yes,
Bill, are we
so
done?
it's 8:50 now. So any questions for the next few minutes, perhaps?
Is everyone happy with their technique? Wonderful. Okay, now let's try another question. It is safe for me to accumulate abundance. What's everybody getting? Good, Diana. Good. Does anybody have a no?
I don't know. But we've got just a few minutes to wrap up, and we'll save some of it for next time.
Okay.
Questions?
So I just want to conclude with, who got a no? Amy, you got a no?
Yeah, I got to know.
Okay, so I'm demonstrating how this technique works. Amy, what's the worst thing that would happen to you if you accumulated abundance? First thing that pops in your head.
Seen?
What?
The word seen.
Sane?
No, seen. C-S-E-E-N.
Okay, you would be seen. Okay, very common. People have tremendous fear about being visible, prominent, getting attention, because it could result in people wanting to kill you, destroy you, be jealous of you. So we dig and go into deeper layers. Where's this fear coming from? So all these fears and feelings of unworthiness, guilt, all kinds of reasons why we don't have money flow as easily as we would like. So you have a fear of being seen. Would you agree, Amy?
Yes.
Okay, so that all this stuff can be cleared. Any questions, comments before we conclude? How many more minutes do we have left?
Just one to, yeah, about one.
Okay, so everybody please practice your muscle testing skills between now and next week. And next week, we're going to use those muscle testing skills in our trauma clearing. And if we have an hour next week, we can even clear 2 traumas. So I hope to see everybody again.
And Regina, could you throw your email in the chat? People are
Yes,
asking for
I
your
will.
email. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Excellent. What a great field that you held for us. Wow. It's vast and it's powerful. And Jonathan has to leave early. Goodbye to Jonathan.
Okay,
I
I'm
love-
giving you my phone number, which is a landline, no text.
Landline.
And then I'm going to give you also my email address. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next week. Invite anybody you want. It is not essential, 100% essential to have muscle testing skills, but it's extremely useful and helpful because as you just saw demonstrated, you first had a yes and now you have a no. And this is your way of knowing that you're clear. So it's very, very useful, but not 100% essential. So if you have anyone who's suffering from severe trauma at this time, it could be the passing of a loved one, an illness, sexual abuse, going through a divorce, whatever the trauma is, can be cleared. And I consider it an amazing gift from the divine to have this technology available to us now.
Very good. Thank you so much, Regina. We'll look forward to next week. And big round of hands. Thank you so much.